Hello, this is Robert from Massachusetts. I had my first comment on my video is asking for an example of how I maintain my shoes and care for or clean my shoes. So here we are. I'm going to use the example of the new shoes I purchased recently because they don't need much done, and so it should be a pretty quick video. And of course, these are beautiful Vass Oxfords that I purchased recently, calfskin. I do hope to do a video where I do a detailed, kind of maintenance on a pair of Cordovan shoes. But I think most of you will be more interested in the calfskin, so I'm going to start with that. So for basic shoe care, I would say the most important thing is shoe trees, right? These came with specialty shoe trees, and this is the first time that I've had something like that. But if there's just one thing that I would do if I only had one, kind of one step in shoe care, it would be just using shoe trees. It's very important to keep the shape of the shoes, to keep them, from creasing as much. It just makes a tremendous difference. So, for example, here are some Allen Edmonds shoe trees. I think they make several types of Allen Edmonds, but I wanted to show these because, not all shoe trees are created equal. So, these shoe trees, they don't really, the spring mechanism, it doesn't seem to be so great. And then also, particularly the backs of these, you see how thin this is? And that's actually not ideal. It can kind of stretch out and change the shape of the back of the shoe. You really want it to fit a little bit better. So what I recommend is Woodlore. I think by far kind of the standard shoe tree maker that's not actually a shoe brand in itself. They're more higher end ones, but the ones that I really like. So they have this spring mechanism up in the front of the shoe by the toes to make sure it fills out there really well. And you can see the back is much more proportioned, and it's got two of these kind of spring things here, so it really fits like a glove in the shoe, made out of cedar as well. So, these are made out of cedar also. You can pick these up, I think, at least the base model for Woodlore, I think, is $30, and you can get them up for a deal on eBay as well. So that's the first thing. Number two is a brush. So fundamental, a shoe brush. This is a horsehair brush. That's really what you want. And this is, wood handle horsehair brush. I don't think I paid very much for this. I got this from Herrings. So Herrings is a merchant of British shoes, a great source of shoes, and they also have accessories. So just about any pair of shoes you have, whether they're Cordovan shoes or just calfskin, box calf shoes, first step is to brush. So these have some dust on them they've accumulated from just being on the shelf. So we're gonna just make sure any dust is off. And just to explain what we're going for here. So these have not really been mirror shined yet. I did, right after purchasing them, I did remove any of the stuff from shipping or basically some of the factory finish, some of the factory creams and so forth, just to start fresh with Reno Mat. So this is pretty strong, but it won't ruin the finish for your shoes. So it's a very safe product to start clean. So there's kind of two times that I use Reno Mat. One is when I purchase a brand new pair of shoes, and I'm going to put in like my first layers of wax, which is what I did with this. So, the first, I remove stuff with this. And then a lot of the steps we're going to do today, use the conditioner, and then left several layers of wax, especially on the cap. And I didn't quite get to a mirror shine, and I thought that was fine. I just, did it for a little while, and I wore them once, and now I'm going to go back and put a couple more layers of wax and hoping we're going to get a mirror shine today, but no need to use this. The other time we would use this is probably after a year of having a pair of shoes, where there's just been so much shining and so much work on them. It's just like you just want to start clean from ground zero. So you would use this, or you could use acetone, which is stronger. That is something you have to be a little more careful with. I've used both. They both, I recommend you do them outside, because I mean, at least for me, they're very strong. And then, you don't want to be doing that in your bedroom. I done that once, and then I can't sleep that night. So those are strong products. Okay, today we're skipping that step. We're just starting with a conditioner. So this is, shoe trees, shoe brush, and conditioner, right? This is like, if you just want to have a super minimal shoe care routine, this would be it. So I use Big Four. I don't use Saphir's conditioner often anymore. Just personal preference, kind of splitting hairs here. So I would say Saphir's conditioner is a tiny bit better. The leather, is conditioned a little bit better with Saphir. Obviously very high quality product, but I use so much conditioner, Big Four, made in the US. You can get a bottle even larger than this. This is like, I think they're a medium sized bottle, and just my preference. So let's see, did I brush the right one? I think I did, but just make sure. All right, so then just an old undershirt. You can buy all these kind of fancy polishing rags and things, but I think this is just as good, to be honest. And so I'm just going to condition everything except for the cap toe, because the cap toe, has several layers of wax already, and I don't think we want to mix in conditioner there right now. So this is what I typically do, like a quick shine. That the cap already has several layers of wax, and I'm going to mirror shine that, and the rest I condition. So I don't know if you can, probably can't see I'm not putting a lot, a lot on. If you have a lot of time and the leather's very dry, like you're trying to restore an old pair of shoes, you could definitely use a lot more conditioner, give it more time, maybe even do it a couple times over a day or overnight. There's nothing wrong with that. But really, you should give this about 15 minutes. I'm probably going to just focus on some other things during the video here and brush it a little bit. But I would say give the conditioner about 15 minutes to dry, and then what you want to do is brush it again, and I'll brush to a soft shine. So it's like I said, this is all you need if you just want basic shoe care. I would just say brush, condition, then brush again, you're good to go. And your shoes are going to last a long time. They're going to look great. And they're going to be pretty well protected. So I guess I'll talk about kind of another step that I typically do. Very often, since I like to mirror shine my shoes a lot, when I'm working on my shoes, there'll be like a bunch of spider web looking cracks over the cap. So maybe I'll do a video of that sometime. That's not the case right now. There's no cracking in the wax, and there isn't that much wax on here yet. And so what I do in that when the shoes are in that state is, again, I condition around, especially putting a little bit extra on the vamp. And I use a high heat hair dryer. I believe the hair dryer I use is a Solano, Super Solano, which is a, it's like one of the hair dryers that professional hairdressers use. So I put that on high heat and medium kind of fan speed, and then I'll take one shoe and I'll heat up the wax and then immediately shine it. And almost always I get a mirror shine almost right away, pretty much right away. So I'll show you guys that sometime. You can also use a heat gun. So if you watch the Elegant Oxford, they have a lot of shoe shine videos, and he's demonstrated using a heat gun. I decided just to use a hair dryer because sometimes I have someone over, a guest, who needs a hair dryer. So multi-purpose, right? So I'll show that sometime. So I guess we're going to do two things. We're going to get a mirror shine on the cap. And we're also going to shine, I mean, that doesn't really need much. It's already looking pretty nice. But we're going to put some layers of wax on the edges, really to protect them. The edges already look really nice. But I like to keep, a couple layers of wax on the edges so that they're always looking good. Okay, so we'll start with Saphir Pat Deluxe. This is kind of the base wax product for Saphir. So it's a black wax. And the other thing we'll need is some water. So what I like to do is just get a cup with some ice cubes and some cold water. Cold water is a trick. It helps. You achieve the mirror shine slightly faster with cold water. You can do a spit shine. You can, sometimes I shine with a little bit of conditioner to lubricate. So, it's not a tremendous trick, but it helps a little bit. And so when we're working with wax and we're trying to achieve a mirror shine, I think there's two fundamental steps, and the way you work, they're different, right? So one is, and it depends on what you're trying to achieve. So for one step, you are applying layers of wax. So that's what we're going to do first, is we're going to put at least three layers, maybe 4 layers of wax onto the caps, right? And then the other operation, so to speak, is to do the shining, and that involves water, right? So one of these steps does not involve water, putting layers of wax on. And so that's at least how I do it. You can watch shoe shine videos. They have all sorts of different techniques, but I think that's what's made sense to me. And I've tried many different ways. I've, certainly had my fair share of doing long sessions of shining until I really found what works for me. So I'm just going to put a little bit of water on the wax here, just to make it easier to pull out there. This is the black wax, and I'm just looking to put a layer of wax on here. Pat Deluxe takes a little bit longer to dry. So there's another wax we're going to be using called the Mirror Gloss, Saphir Mirror Gloss. This is clear that I'm using. You could use black. You could use clear Pat Deluxe. I have that also. So it's kind of up to you. Keep my workspace here clean. I probably should get a mat of some kind. So just, in soft circles, adding a layer of wax. And we'll wait for that to dry. Doing the same over here. So I think I'm going to do already this probably has like 15, maybe 20 layers of wax already. So really what we're doing is, the way I look at it is I add layers of wax and then I'm testing. Then I try to get the mirror shine, right? So it's like a process of layering and testing. Do I have enough wax on there? Has it, you know, is it ready? And if it's not, then we go back to adding a couple more layers, and that's basically the process. Okay. So since it takes a little while for that to dry, I'm actually gonna put some wax on the edges. So I like to work on the edges as well. So I'm gonna put a couple layers of the black Pat Deluxe on the edges. And the same principles apply to the edges. So am I adding layers or am I trying to shine my edges? So right now we're just adding layers. There's no water. I'm just adding, a layer of wax. And when you add the layer of wax, you'll see that it has a dulling effect. It's kind of hazy. You can see that you've added something there. So you may be wondering, like, where do you get all this time to shine your shoes? And very often I have meetings at work where I'm participating, I'm listening, but I'm not presenting, and I'm not on camera. And so very often, instead of surfing the web, I'll just put on a pair of shoes. And half hour here, half hour there, and you can shine your whole shoe collection. So that's been, used to be, I really like cordovan shoes because they don't really need much maintenance. You can just brush them and you're good to go. I've had 2 pairs of cordovan shoes that I've worn for almost 2 years, and that's all I've done with them, and they look great. So I'm a big fan of those if you don't have the time, but I've developed kind of a fondness of shining. So, all right, putting the second layer on here for this cap here. Here. And with the Pat Deluxe, you do have to give it a little bit of time to dry. Otherwise, you're just going to be pushing wax around like this. The next layer will not kind of go over the previous one. It'll just kind of mix around if there hasn't been some drying. Okay, so again, we're going to give it a little bit of time, and I'm going to add some more Pat Deluxe to the edges. Another thing you can do is you can shine the hind quarters of a pair of shoes. And so that's another way, like while you're waiting for the caps to dry, you could work on the back. I've done that before. But these don't have toe taps, so I think it's a good idea to put some layers of wax on the edges to protect them. And I think taking care of the edges of a shoe is one of the like lesser known shoe care secrets, because it makes a big difference. Like a pair of shoes where the edges, like you're starting to see like the leather come out and it's kind of discolored and rough, from where it really detracts from the look of the shoe. And then, you know, a set of edges where it's been taken care of and they're shining a little bit because you've even shined them, can really make the shoe pop. So okay, so we did 2 layers of Pat Deluxe. So let's switch to the mirror gloss. So we're going to add some layers of this. And switching to a fresh piece of my shoe rag here, so it doesn't mix with the black. I'm putting 1 drop of water in there, just, you know, because the Pat Deluxe is a very hard wax. So I feel like a little bit of water helps to get more out. And same principle, we're just putting some layers of wax on. Now here, with this wax is specially designed for mirror shines. And from here on out, we're really going to focus on the mirror gloss. But the most important difference is it doesn't need that like 5 minutes to dry. I mean, maybe 1 minute. It's very quick to dry, so that makes it a lot easier to work with. You don't have to, you know, kind of go focus on something else. Okay, but I guess I'm going to go ahead and continue our layers on the edge. So I'm going to, you know, do a nice layer of mirror gloss on the edges. Hip again. I feel like I really got a good layer on there. Now you don't need as many layers on the edges, right? Especially with a new pair of shoes. Like I said, I already have like maybe 20 layers on the caps. You don't need that much on it, you know. Actually, what we have now is more than sufficient. Just 3 layers of wax. So we could skip to the shine phase right after this, but I'm gonna just put 1 more after this. We're just gonna kind of stay in lockstep with the caps in terms of layering. Okay. All right, and then we're gonna do 1 more. So this will be 4 layers of wax that we've added. I'd say about 24 total. to the caps. And then we'll go into shining mode to see if that was enough. Like, can we achieve a mirror shine with that? Yeah. Just one more layer on the edges. We'll call the edges done. We'll shine those up at the end. Of course, there's no real such thing as a mirror shine on the edges, as far as I know. So it's just kind of protect them and then, keep them looking good. They will, they will shine. They will look a little shiny, but the goal is a little bit different. Okay. So now we're going to go for the actual shining. So we need a clean piece from your, chamois or towel or rag. Probably not a towel. Towels don't work so great. Really want 100% cotton undershirt is what I prefer. Okay. And so now we will use some water. Okay. So you add 1 drop of water at a time, maybe 2 at the very start. And then, so we add a little bit of water. I don't know if you guys can see that. And then massage it in there. And then when this is a little bit wet from the water, I just dab it on here. So it's kind of spreading this tiny bit of wax around in there, mixing it in. So right now this seems pretty perfect, where I don't need to add more water. It's gliding across very easily. So we just keep at it. And I think we're getting pretty close here. It's looking pretty good. Yeah, we're getting at least pretty close to a mirror shine. Add a little more wax. It's gliding across very easily. So if it wasn't gliding so much, so now it's just starting to grip a little bit. Add another drop of water. Have the wax, the mirror gloss wax. And these are pretty, yeah. It's like we were successful here. Yep. Perfect. It doesn't always, we'll see if the other cap is so easy. This leather is very high quality. It makes a big difference. So if you have a lower pair of quality shoes, you're going to have to do this a little more. And so, let's say this didn't shine. Right now, what I would do is I would add like 1 layer of mirror gloss and then try the shine again. And each time switching up the rag with a clean piece. Then I would add Pat Deluxe. Kind of usually I'll add a layer or 2 layers of mirror gloss and a little more than the Pat Deluxe, and just keep trying. And then sometimes, even you have, like I did the first time I had these pair of shoes, I was kind of going for the mirror shine right out of the gate. And for a while I was like, you know what, I'm just going to put them down. They've got a nice shine. And you can do that too and just try again later. So this, yeah, this is a pretty nice shine. That worked out pretty well. Ideal. Wasn't expecting ideal. Was hoping, I'd have to suffer a little more in front of you guys. Okay, so again, some water. And it's really smooth, so don't need any more water. Add a little bit, dab on the wax, on the mirror gloss. Yeah, and these are looking good too. So this is what happens when you have really high quality leather. This is from, I believe, the best tannery in Germany. Not Rendenbach for soles, but one of the best European tanneries for leather. So that's one of the benefits of higher end leather, is that it shines so easily. So yeah, it's looking really nice. Let's see, yeah, they're looking pretty good. All right, so yeah. All right, so next, there's the edges. So same principle, right? So what I do is I start at the heel, and I usually put a little extra water. You need a little more water when you're shining the edges. So I use like 2 drops of water, and same principle. You can add a little bit of wax, and it should be very smooth going across. And it's basically the same thing. You're just doing it on the edges. Here, adding a little bit of water. Notice that I grab the water always with a different finger. So I don't grab this is a mistake that I made when I tried to shine shoes early on, was I would dab the water with my shining cloth. And that's actually not the best way to do it. And I would just spend hours trying to shine my shoes. I didn't know what I was doing wrong. And that's what it was, is, you want to place drops of water directly on the shoe, with a drop on a finger. And that makes a big difference. There's different techniques. I mean, probably some people shine their shoes just fine by dipping in directly. But I think what happens is you end up with too much water in the mix, and really just need 1 drop, especially on the leather. On the edges, I like to use a little more. So it glides around really smooth here on the edges, and they develop a soft little shine. And then they're, well protected here. Okay, so we're done. I hope you learn a thing or two. This is how I shine my shoes, how I take care of my shoes. There are many wonderful resources on the internet. Kirby Allison has some very elaborate presidential shoe shine. He has many shoe shine videos, and then quick shoe shine videos as well. Elegant Oxford has great shoe shine videos. So I hope you enjoyed it, and please subscribe and click the like button. that motivates me to keep doing these videos, you know, keep sharing these things with you. All right, take care.